My name's Carla Marie from the Pet Care Advocate. Let me start over with that. I wanted to tell you a bit about my story and how I became the Pet Care Advocate. I have always loved animals. I have been around animals all my life. And my first pet was goldfish. Now, obviously, my parents took care of them. But when we moved into our new house, my mom wanted to get me a dog, and my dad was not as thrilled about that. And he said no for the time being. But my mother, being my mother, really didn't listen, took me to a shelter, and I picked out my dog, and I was able to get my dog Gretchen. She was just a puppy, brought her home, and of course my dad fell madly in love with her as well as my mom and I. And so that was my first foray into really having a pet, and I was around 5 years old, um, and Gretchen was wonderful. After that, we had a series of dogs and cats and birds and rabbits and even a turtle named Tommy and a rabbit named Thumper, and of course after Bambi, right? I continued to bring in animals as I, would find them and help them out, and we kept a lot of them. Some of them we helped and nurtured and found homes for. Now, fast forward, I'm an adult and I come home to visit my parents, and I'm outside in their backyard and I hear a little kitten meowing, crying, and I look over and I'm watching this kitten, and I didn't want to disturb because sometimes the mama kitten goes off or is moving them or getting them food, so I didn't want to disturb that. But about 6 hours later, I was still watching her. The mama hadn't come back, so I was concerned either the mama had abandoned her or gotten hit or killed or something like that. So I gave her some food and water and a little shelter she had, and kept an eye on her. Everybody did. And eventually I realized the mama's not coming back, so I named her Callie. She was a little calico cat, and we took care of her. I didn't bring her in my house right away because I wanted to get her to the vet first before I introduced her to my pets. Meanwhile, she had her great shelter, and everybody was taking care of her. And so one of my happiest memories of Callie is when she would run to me when I would come over. I'd call her name, and she'd come out from this honeysuckle bush that she loved. And she would run to me and jump in my arms, and I would just scoop her up and hold her, and she would snuggle with me. She was the sweetest kitty in the world. And eventually we got her, checked from the vet, introduced her into the house. She interacted great with the pets. Everybody got along really well. Um, One thing about Callie is she was a great huntress. And at one point I was living in a farm, and on a farm, and as a farm will go, sometimes there's mice, and one day I was sitting in the living room watching TV, and I see Callie run by, and she had something in her mouth, and I thought it was one of her mice toys. And then I saw it move, and I'm like, oh, I shrieked. I was like, ah! And then I picked her up, and I took her out to the back door, and I'm kind of trying to nudge the mouse out of her mouth. Gently, I don't want to touch the mouse. I'm just touching her mouth, she had a firm grip on it. She finally relinquished it, and I let it go in the fields on the farm. And you know, she had a very disappointed look on her face, by the way, but that's okay. The mouse wasn't hurt, and I didn't want Callie killing the mouse in the house. Um, Eventually, I started noticing for Callie, and this is where my pet care advocate is inspired from. Callie started urinating on my bed in different places in the house. It's not something she had ever done. So obviously I'm like, okay, I got to take her to the vet. Something's wrong. And blood tests were fine. Everything was fine. Um, this went on for about a year where I kept taking her back, and I'm like, I wasn't trying to scold her because I knew something physically was wrong that hadn't been discovered yet because this was not her normal behavior. Eventually, finally, the blood test started to show that she was in renal failure. So it's chronic renal failure, kidney issues. Um, So we did whatever we could, with the Western medicine, everything that we could do that, and eventually did intravenous fluids at home once a week. And she had a quality life. She was happy, playful, and she had a quality life. One night, though, she went completely blind, which can happen with a CRF kidney cat because sometimes their blood pressure will rise. So I rushed her to the vet. They, checked her blood pressure, and we gave her blood pressure medicine, and her sight did return. And she did okay for a while, and then she started to decline. And took her to the vet, and I knew it was time to let her go. And so I let her go. I made the decision with the veterinary's assistance, feeling that she was no longer living a quality life. I needed to euthanize her. And that, no matter how many times you do it, is the hardest decision in the world. But she needed it. And so I did that for her. After that, and I'm really holding back trying to fight the tears here, I missed her greatly, of course, but I had a very strong sense of guilt that I hadn't done as much as possible for her because of finding out so late in the game that she had the kidney issues. That's what started me doing a lot of massive researches on any issues I came across, because one thing about a lot of the pets, not all of them, that have come into my life, even from a childhood to adulthood now, a lot of them have some sort of special need. A lot of them have an issue. Some were diabetic, epileptic, kidney issues, liver issues, cancer, and so on. So I've been able to take care of all these animals, and I've learned a great deal in taking care of them. And I've learned how to navigate through a lot of the information on the internet that's, some's great, some good, some not so good. I have done a lot of research for that. And I work with my veterinarians. I always ask questions. So that is how it prompted me to help others navigate all that information and help them give the best care to their animals with working with their veterinarians. I'm not a veterinarian. I am simply the advocate. As a human, has patient advocacy, I'm doing that for the pets to help you give your pets the best care and quality of life. And that's, Callie inspired me to do that. And the thing is, my next cat, Sammy, I saw the similar signs in him earlier, but this time I acted much more quickly. Yes, I did the blood test, but the problem with the blood test is sometimes with kidney cats, it doesn't show that there's an issue with the kidneys until it's about 75% compromised in the kidney, which by then you're just reacting, not being proactive. So with Sammy, I was able to act much more quickly, use Western medicines, but also holistic medicines, and he lived an extremely quality, healthy, happy life for a very, very long time. And I recently I had to put Sammy down in May of this year. He had other complications beside kidney issues, and that is what ultimately made him worse. And I'm trying to hold back tears here. But the difference with him is that I didn't have that guilt that I had with Callie, because I knew I had done absolutely everything possible and gave him quality of life. And that's kind of where I want to help you. I want to give you that same service. I just want to give that to you so you don't feel that guilt, because there's nothing worse than feeling that you didn't do all you could for someone or an animal. And so that's what I want to do for you. And I still have my other pets with me. I'm not pet free, and they're running around right now, and you might have heard one of them just hiss at the other, by the way. Um, but that is my story, and I just wanted to share it with you because that is why I'm so passionate about this, because I want you to feel that you're doing the best you can to help your animals have a quality, healthy, happy life. And understand that there's other avenues to go sometimes. I help you work with your veterinarian. But there's also specialists. There's also holistic veterinarians. There's all sorts of avenues. For instance, with Sammy, um, he had acupuncture, which, by the way, he actually loved. And I actually have a couple pictures I'll share with you at some point with him having it done. Um, the difference when he would have it done is night and day. It was amazing. And also a holistic treatment for the kidneys. So he had acupuncture for his kidney issues and the other issues he had, which ultimately was cancer. Um, and then also an internal holistic treatment that he had every single day for several years, which made his kidney levels um, change for the positive in a drastic way. So those are the kinds of things I want to help you with, because there's so much out there. We're not trying to cheat anything or cheat death or anything like that with the animal. We don't want to give them long life without quality. But I want to help you give your pet great care and quality life. And there goes one of my kitty cats right now. I believe that's Paisley, right there. So thank you for listening to me. I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed my stories, and I look forward to assisting you. Look forward, and you'll see lots of tips come through on my page and on Instagram, and a lot of written tips, a lot of video tips, and offering my consulting services just to help everybody out. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thank you.